Hey everyone, apologies for getting this week's episode out so late. Or is it actually next week's episode and it's really early? I'm too zonked out on amitriptyline to decide. Anyway, moving on, and I hope it's not too distracting, but you can hear the New England rain really coming down in the background there. I should be at work swinging a hammer, but obviously the weather's not cooperating, and that is fine by me. I would much rather be recording the show than be stuck at my day job. And so we have a couple of new Facebook likes. It looks like Howard Titman and Catherine Atkinson. Thanks for liking the page, guys. Much appreciated. And so, without further ado, let's move into the main story. And this one has a bit of a sensational or clickbaity title. You know, it might be a bit misleading. It's from The Cut, and it's entitled, "Woman Wearing Hail Satan Shirt Ordered to Get Off Plane." And once you read the story, you realize that's not exactly what happened, but it's close. Apparently, one or more crew members found this woman's t-shirt to be offensive, and she was given the ultimatum of either changing or covering up her shirt or getting off the plane. So if she hadn't complied, she very well could have been kicked off. But I'll read a bit from this article, and it's dated December 6th. And once again, it's entitled, "Woman Wearing Hail Satan Shirt Ordered to Get Off Plane." And it's by Amanda Arnold, and once again, it's from The Cut. When a 49-year-old woman recently boarded an American Airlines flight wearing a shirt that read, "Hail Satan," she never imagined she would encounter any obstacles. She had worn the shirt on a plane many times before without incident. But on this particular flight in October, she was given a harsh ultimatum, either change out of the shirt or get off the plane. According to BuzzFeed News, and I know BuzzFeed itself is rather divisive, but I guess that's where it's coming from, Swati Rooney Goyal, hopefully I didn't just butcher her name, was happily settled in her seat waiting for her flight from Florida to Nevada to take off, while reading New York Magazine, when an American Airlines employee approached her and asked her to collect her items and come to the front of the plane. She was excited. She thought she and her husband were getting upgraded to first class. What came next shocked her. She says the employee told her the crew found her shirt to be quote-unquote offensive. "We initially just thought it was a joke," Goyal told BuzzFeed News. "People usually laugh at it." Per the report, Goyal sounds like either, someone with like a New York accent in the 1920s trying to say girl. That Goyal over there, Mr. J. Or it kind of sounds like a portmanteau of Gentile and Moyle. Like Goyal, like someone who performs circumcisions but isn't Jewish. What the hell is wrong with me? And I swear, my sympathies actually lay with this woman, so I'm not trying to make fun of her. I'm just in a silly headspace. Anyway, per the report, Goyal had bought the shirt to support the Satanic Temple, a non-theistic organization to which she belongs. Like other members of the Satanic Temple, she doesn't really worship the devil. The group shares a belief system based on the figure Satan as a literary metaphor, and is best known for pulling stunts to protest the Christian right's influence in American politics and public life. Goyal says she defended the shirt, but that the crew member reiterated that it was quote-unquote offensive. She says he then asked her if she understood what the word meant. That seems pretty condescending. In response, she told him, "I'm a foreign-born minority woman. I understand offensive, and this shirt is not offensive." Because Goyal and her husband didn't want to deboard, she ended up putting on one of her husband's extra layers over her shirt. But still, she says the crew avoided eye contact with her throughout the rest of the flight, and they even skipped over her with the drink cart. While other passengers were sympathetic toward her, Goyal says the whole incident left her feeling quote-unquote humiliated. When Goyal reached out to American Airlines after the flight, a customer representative told her that the company has quote-unquote policies in place to ensure that no passengers are subjected to objectionable situations while on board. They did not, however, apologize. It was only after Goyle tweeted about the incident on Friday that she heard back from the airline, which responded to her on Twitter, and here it is in quotes, "Discrimination has no place at American Airlines." In a statement to BuzzFeed News, a representative said the company regrets how the situation was handled and is reaching out to Goyle, but the Satanic Temple isn't satisfied with the response. And actually, here's a quote from Lucian Greaves. "It simply is not the place of an airline crew or anybody operating any type of public accommodation to pass judgment upon the beliefs of a passenger or customer, or to deny service based upon assumptions related to religious identity or opinion in any circumstances," Satanic Temple founder Lucian Greaves said in a statement to The Cut. And I actually think that was very well worded by Lucian Greaves. I agree 100%. American Airlines owes more than an apology, they owe the public an explanation. And the article ends with this. Meanwhile, this past October, a man boarded a United Airlines plane wearing a shirt that explicitly advocated for lynching journalists, even after a passenger complained to a flight attendant. After the captain and a United Airlines supervisor were alerted and discussed the matter, the latter told the passenger that United, and here it is in quotes, couldn't do anything just because it was offensive. And in fairness, I feel like the author here is trying to create or show a kind of disparity between the reaction to the Hail Satan shirt and the reaction to the lynching journalist shirt, which I imagine was this kind of pro-Trump fake news kind of shirt. But once again, fairness, it seems like we're dealing with two different airlines here. The one that wanted to boot the woman for wearing the Hail Satan shirt was American Airlines. The one that allowed the guy to wear what sounds like a pro-Trump shirt was United Airlines. And so I don't know what United's usual policy is. I do know that American Airlines, because I was looking it up earlier, their dress code states, and this is their dress code supposedly for passengers, dress appropriately, bare feet or offensive clothing aren't allowed. And so I think the big problem here, other than intolerance for others' beliefs, is that the word offensive itself is just so subjective, and that seems to give the crew a kind of arbitrary and unfair power over the passenger. Different people find different things offensive. If you walk on a plane with an anti-Trump shirt, a left-leaning crew member might give you a thumbs up, while a right-leaning one might want you removed from the flight. And, to a secular person who knows what the Satanic Temple is all about, or just someone who's open-minded with an irreverent sense of humor, they'll probably think, a Hail Satan shirt is just kind of cute or funny. But to some fundy Christian or someone who's never even tried to escape their childhood indoctrination, it's potentially jaw-dropping. This sick person had the audacity to wear a shirt promoting a being that is essentially evil incarnate, the very enemy of God, and all that's good, you know what I mean? And I know it's probably asking too much, but I wish, if someone's a Christian crew member or whatever, that they try to really remember that just because they're Christian, that doesn't mean that everyone is. And, just because you think the devil's real doesn't mean everyone else does. To, a secular, non-theistic Satanist or whatever, he's just a literary figure, a symbol, a metaphor. And it's, do you really want to ruin your own day and someone else's by making a big to-do out of, a t-shirt someone happens to be wearing? And I'm obviously not a legal expert, so I don't know what the legal implications are. We're supposed to have the First Amendment here in the United States, but it's very common for schools and businesses to institute these kind of arbitrary dress codes. And understandably, dress codes are often, points of contention. I think in general, once again, not a legal expert, that it's legal for a business or a school to require some kind of formal attire or uniform. But if you're singling out or discriminating against someone, their attire or whatever, and it falls into an area that's supposed to be protected by the First and or 14th Amendments, having to do with a person's religious or ideological or political beliefs or the expression thereof, then your actions may be deemed unconstitutional. And there have been cases where the courts have sided with a public school student who was accused of wearing, an offensive T-shirt or something like that. But of course, there we're talking about a public school and not a private business or institution. In that case, things seem to be somewhat different. And I'm reading here, I know, from Wikipedia, but it's an article on freedom of speech in the United States. Does freedom of speech apply to private companies? The First Amendment's constitutional right of free speech, which is applicable to state and local governments under the incorporation doctrine, only prevents government restrictions on speech, not restrictions imposed by private individuals or businesses unless they are acting on behalf of the government. By suppose kicking or threatening to kick someone off of an airplane for wearing a shirt that expresses their religious beliefs or lack thereof, if, we're talking about a secular or atheistic person, that could be seen as a kind of religious discrimination, and there still might be grounds for some kind of suit there, And this is where this uptight crew member, or members, plural, walked right into the Satanic Temple's trap. Because this is kind of the Satanic Temple's raison d'etre, is that they take on these civil rights and separation of church and state issues, and they file these cases or suits and see how far they can take them to bring attention to the cause, So this person probably could have saved the whole company a big headache by just rolling their eyes when they saw the shirt and going about their day. They probably could have saved time for the PR department, the legal team, all that. But they had to make a big stink because some lady was wearing, a black and white T-shirt that said, "Hail Satan" or whatever. And I wonder where they draw the line, because if the shirt pictured is the one the woman was wearing, I mean, it's a pretty tame design. It says, "Hail Satan," and in a pretty subdued typeface, little letters, established 666 underneath with a little upside down cross. So like in the style of the shirt, it almost reminds me of like the layout you might see on like a college shirt or something like that. So if you were just walking by the person, you might not even register what it says. It would just look like a normal kind of university style shirt or something. And I remember back in my day, some of the concert shirts that were around, like Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden concert shirts. I don't know how this happened, but I think despite the kind of strict Catholic upbringing I had, at one point, I think I did have an Iron Maiden Number of the Beast t-shirt that had, it said 666 and on it or whatever. I mean, if you go on with kind of an edgy concert t-shirt, you gonna, offend someone and have them, threaten to throw you off the flight or whatever. And in fairness, I'm trying to think how I might react if the shoe were on the other foot. If I was working on a plane and I saw someone wearing a shirt that said, I don't know, atheists or idiots, or, that referred to sane people as globetards or something like that, you know what I mean? I'd probably find it obnoxious, and I might secretly fantasize about, dragging the person off somewhere and kicking the tar out of them. Although, I'm a really peaceable dude. I wouldn't do that in real life. I might fantasize about it, But I think at the end of the day, I'd realize, as obnoxious as it is, not everyone sees things the same. Different people have different worldviews. And at the end of the day, it's a t-shirt and this person paid to fly on this plane. You know what I mean? And so maybe everyone just needs to kind of take the stick out of their posterior. And with that, I guess I'll call it a wrap. As always, thanks for listening, guys. You know the drill. You can like the Facebook page, follow the show on Twitter. You can check out the YouTube channel. Maybe you're doing that now. If you want to help the show out monetarily, which I would, greatly appreciate, especially since I'm paid hourly. So when I have unexpected days off like this, I don't earn any money. You can go to patreon.com/theweekindoubt and help the show out for as little as 99 cents a month. And by the show, I mean me. All right, brothers and sisters, until next time.